Working. Okay. Hold on just a second here. Grab this link. All right. All right, and that's posted in the Google Classroom there. All right, cool. So I have my Maya up. Mine's is not so much different than yours. It's just 1 year behind. There's a couple of fancy features in 2020 that we'll get into at the later end of the semester. But for right now, we're just gonna go over the basics here. So, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And really says yes. Awesome. All right. Cool. So this is Maya. There's a couple of things we have to master before we start diving into all the fun modeling and animation techniques. So Maya is known for well, it simplifies the modeling process. It helps streamline a lot of things in box modeling. Box modeling is opposed to organic modeling, like ZBrush or Mudbox type of thing. So with box modeling here, what we work with is three elements, which are, see, I'll pop this up here, which are faces, broadside here, this cube, that's a face. Then we have our edges here, and then we have our vertexes, or points, all right? And so in the center section, this is our 3D viewport. This is where this is pretty much where we stay at. This is the majority of all our work is right in this section here. Um, it works in a 3D space right here. So you've got your X, which is the red arrow here. You have your Z axis, which is blue, and Y, which is up and down. And you can tell which way you're oriented with this grid and whatever subject you're messing with down here. So it'll tell you if you're facing down towards the origin here. You can see Y goes up, X to the side here, and Z, which is indicator of depth. All right. So first thing to learn is navigation here. So delete this. So navigating around the space, you press and hold Alt. That'll be your tumble indicator hotkey. You press and hold Alt, and then you do a left click and hold. You can tumble around a certain focus point. All right. And then next thing is zooming in, zooming out. Again, you press and hold Alt, press and hold right click here, and you can drag it. Drag in, drag out. That's how you zoom and tumble. And then lastly, you're tumbling, which is how you get the camera to strafe left and right, up and down. Is Alt again and middle mouse button. All right. That part's not too bad. It's just a matter of understanding things in a 3D space, right? So when you're modeling on one side here, you want to be sure to tumble around the object constantly, so you get an idea of the 3D feel. All right. Then so off to the side here, the far left side, we have our toolbar, which is detachable, like many programs in Adobe, detachable, rearrangeable. that sort of thing. We have our selection tool, our brush selection, our lasso selection, brush selection, move, rotate, and scale. Now, most of these, we should understand these as hotkeys because it becomes a little tedious. I'm going to try to slide this back over there just a second. There we go. It becomes tedious having to, say, start extruding or modeling a cube here. To come back over here, press your selection, select your component. Back over here, hit your move, move it out, rotation, rotate it around, etc., etc. So instead of going back and forth, we're going to memorize hotkeys. So it's pretty simple. It is set up mostly like a video game. So our selection tool is Q. That's how we get to just the mouse cursor here, and that's how you select between multiple things, or if you want to select multiple things, you click and drag for your marquee selection, just like in the Windows desktop. Marquee selection. All right. And then our next hotkey, next to W, next to Q is W. That is our move tool. All right. And when we hit our move tool, we'll get our axis tool here. Again, green is Y, red is X, blue is Z. And if we click on one of these arrows, we can move it along one axis at a time. All right. And then if you want to move along a plane, say the ZY plane. Also, one other thing, excuse me, the yellow color indicates the latest arrow you've selected. So that comes in handy later on when we start moving things using the middle mouse button. But if you want to move things along a plane instead of just one axis at a time, you can hit these squares and constrain it to just that plane there. So the the ZY, you got your XY, and then you have your XY. So ZX and XY. All right, and then this middle part is free motion. So it moves it according to the angle of the camera. Most times we will never use the center part of this axis. We only want to touch on the arrows or the boxes for constrained movement. The reason why is it's very easy to lose location, lose a sense of where your object is if you keep rotating it, if you keep moving it using the center square here. Say, for instance, if I was trying to set this next to the other square, using free motion here, I could put it right here, and it looks like it's pretty close. Turn the corner here, not so much. Then try it here, still not that close. It becomes really tedious. So one axis at a time. All right, so next tool is our E. Our E key is our rotation. Same thing with this guy. Probably don't want to free rotate it, just one axis at a time. So that is for rotating around the X. Hit Z to undo. And also you can undo selections as well. So hit C, comes back to the other selection. So yeah, red to rotate around the X-axis, blue around the Z, green around the Y. Alright, and then the last one, scale, which is R. So E to R, scale tool. Now for this one, we probably only want to use the center cube. Um, Probably very few situations where we need to use the squares here and scale it up on only 2 axes at a time. Sometimes we need to stretch it out one way or another, only one way or another. Alright, cool. Those are the basic moving tools and navigation. Any questions so far?
No.
No? No? Excellent, excellent. Alright. Okay, so next thing we can get into is these menus over here. So, we have our tool settings and our outliner off to the side here. Again, these are interchangeable, however you like. If you get these mixed up, you can always come up here to, see, I believe it is Windows, Workspace, Maya Classic, and it'll lay everything back out in default mode. And that's the hyper shader. We'll get into that in about week 4 or 5. Alright, so my outliner right here. This is pretty much a list of everything that's in the scene. Right, so I got one cube. If I select one P cube 1 here, selects P cube 1. I have a duplicate. Automatically renames it to P cube 2. Alright, got both of those guys right there. Got the geometry icon next to that. It tells me that it's a mesh that I can edit. We got these orthographic cameras. We'll get more into that later on, but those are in every default file. Default light setup, default object set, and these are just for technical things that happen behind the scenes. We won't be getting into those. But just keep in mind, if things get a little cluttered and it's hard to either select or adjust attributes for this item or that, you can always come here to the outliner, figure out exactly which cube you need or which item, move it out of the way. And for that reason, it's very important to name each one of your items here. Okay, so I'll double click on my PCube1. I rename it to, say, box_1, or to be a little more definitive, let's say original box. Box 1, could say this is a duplicate box dash 1. Put in a version number in here just in case I need to duplicate it for whatever reason. When I duplicate it, it automatically gives me duplicate box number 2. Alright, so to select multiple things in Outliner, you can click and drag right here. Shift click. Individual things, press and hold Control. Click multiple things like that. Same thing in Windows. And then you can also delete things as needed. Cool. So that's our outliner. Any questions? Questions about the outliner? We're going to go back over this consistently throughout the semester, so this is just the open up the eyes for now. But any questions? Nope. Solid. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Our next little panel. These are part of the essentials. These are panels we're going to be working with on each project, every project. Tool settings. So tool settings changes for each tool that you're that you're working with. So lasso tool has different settings, selection has different settings, move, etc., etc. And get into more complex ones like extruding. If I can get my extrude, oh, how about this? How about cut it? Yeah. So there's an option where you can cut shapes however needed. That was weird. That doesn't usually happen. There we go. Cut shapes, and we got certain options for our multi-cut tool. And the tool settings is where this pops up. Um, the most useful tool settings that I mess with is good to know is either insert edge loop tool. You get to change how many edge loops you can put in right here, or if you're getting into beveling. So I'm gonna click this guy here, bevel it, and okay, looks like the settings are over here. We'll get into that in just a bit.
Uh, Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're in tool settings, so are you under sculpting or
Mm, no. Tool settings is its own menu. It has nothing to do with sculpting.
wait? How did you go into the tool settings?
It automatically comes up. If yours isn't there, what you can do is, so I just deleted mine. What you can do is down here underneath your tools, your regular tools here, you'll see the latest function here. You hit G to get to, back to this anytime you want. But if you double click on this icon, it'll bring up tool settings for you. Another way to get to tool settings, depending on which settings you're using, is the option box right here. The option box will always bring you to tool settings for that particular tool or function.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, because I don't have that on the side where that you clicked on. You said go in.
All right, so if Windows look like they're
You said go in the
missing
option.
Maya Classic or Maya Standard.
I'm in Maya class. It started in Maya Classic, and it's not there in Maya Standard either.
It's not Maya Standard either. Let's see, mine pops up. Okay,
See, edit mesh.
Alex. Hmm. Okay. All right. Well, that's not a biggie. You can't
See,
really pull it up specifically. It looks like.
Maybe maybe I just missed something because I do have to. I am switching in between the stream and the program. I should.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I
no
probably
problem.
should.
No problem. Let's go up to Mesh Tools real quick.
I mesh.
Mm-hmm. Let's find multi-cut. Kind of in the middle. I think it's directly middle. Middle there. And then let's hit that option box next to multi-cut.
Yeah, multicut isn't there. It's not.
Underneath Mesh Tools.
I'm under. I have mesh and I have edit mesh, and it's not under mesh. So I'm looking for it.
Mesh
Uh,
Tools.
yeah, there is no mesh tools at the top.
Oh, cow. 2020, Maya. My goodness. All right. Let me see your screen real quick, man.
Ready?
Might be a huge overhaul then.
Presente window.
I can't talk to nobody. This sucks.
What happened?
Wait. Oh, good lord. Maya hates me so much.
Did it crash?
No, it just fucking appeared. Like it literally was not there.
Oh, so yeah, that happens, man. That happens. Yeah, I'll check out the Mesh Tools thing later. But so the thing is that sometimes the hold on, let me present again. Sometimes the windows end up down here. Oh, onto my little mouse thing. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, yeah. So at the very bottom, so if you minimize a window that's detached, it'll go all the way down here, which is really easy to miss. And it's its own little thing, right? It doesn't really pop up in your Windows or Mac sidebar. They kind of collect down here.
Oh no, I'm talking about. I never opened it at all. It just wasn't there, and then I minimized the entire program because and switched back to the program, maximized it again, and it mesh tool appeared. The tab at the top. I'm like, what?
Oh, then the tab Mesh Tools. Okay. So you got your Mesh Tools now. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so to get
This
the
thing
tool
working?
settings, sorry, what was that?
Sorry.
What's up?
Nothing, listening.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so to get to tool settings, let's go to Mesh Tools, Multi-Cut in the middle, excuse me, in the center here. Let's hit that option box. Then we should have our tool settings right here. We can click
Okay.
and drag it off to the side. There you go, like so. And then as long as Maya doesn't crash or you cut the computer off while it's running, Maya will save this whole layout for next time you open
You know what? Screw it. Where's the Cintiq?
it. It's more of a mouse program, but
Yeah, I need the split screen though.
yeah. Oh, I got you. All right. I'm just gonna clear up my screen real quick.
Now that I think about it, this might be one of the first times I've ever dealt with modeling programs on a single screen.
Yeah, it's pretty useful to have multiple screens. It's kind of like coding because you can just get into so many menus so often. It's just nice to have them all up off to the side. Okay. All right. Cool. So that's the left side that we're seeing here. Tool settings, outliner, and our tools and previous tool. And we'll get into visual layout in a second here. Off to the right, we have our channel box. Very important. Lets us know where and what is on our model, our subject here. So this tells me the name, which I can also rename up here. Original box 1, and then I'm just going to add a tag. Um, GEO, and lets me know it's a polygon. Then we also have our transformations. So we got our translate, 1, 2, 3, XYZ. Same thing with rotate, same thing with scale. So these do the same thing that our tools do off to the left side here, except they're more mechanical than the visual. Right, so if I need this at the origin exactly, punch in 0, I'll take my cube at the origin. If I need it up just right on the grid there, raise it up 0.5, and raise it up 0.5, and it'll be perfectly flush with my grid. All right. So yeah, so these numbers they represent centimeters. Maya works in centimeters. There's a setting to change it to inches, but it keeps going back to centimeters. I don't mess with it anymore. Um, so we got centimeters. We got degree rotations for rotations, and scale is also this percentage. Then we got our visibility. If you need to turn things on and off, flip that. All right, we got shapes here. That's a little advanced. Won't be messing with that too much. But what is noteworthy here is our inputs. Inputs will pop up a lot of attributes that we want to make adjustments on. So when we have a default cube, we can adjust the width, height, and depth, which is a little different from scaling, right? So this is changing the measurements. Scaling is increasing or decreasing the measurements, amplifying it, or it's the opposite of amplify, deflating it, I guess. Which means these will react with different functions in the program a little differently. We also got our subdivisions here. Well, this is a very important part of modeling, subdivisions. Because the more subdivisions you have, the more labor your machine has. Well, the more your machine has to work. So a good way to put this is that right now we have one subdivision for our default cube. All right, which means we have one poly or one face on each side, and the computer only has to compute shading and points for 4 points and one normal, which pertains to shading, per side of this cube. Now, if we go into subdivisions over here in our channel box, and I'm going to hit middle mouse button, click and drag, all those things are highlighted, and increase the value all at the same time. Then we have a much denser model here. We have individual shapes right here, which means individual normals. Each shape has its own, has 4 points, which shares with other shapes around it. Thing is, this takes up a lot more data, a lot more RAM, and it could slow the computer down. So the idea is to get off, to pull off your model, your visual model, the silhouette, all that jazz, with as few subdivisions as possible, as efficiently as possible. All right, so let's turn that back to 1. All right, and that's our channel box. Modeling kit, this came through after I received my degree in Maya, so I don't really mess with this. There's a couple of things good in here. That's just a little quicker, a little useful if you want to work with symmetry. It's easier to go through here than to do the short menus. Selection constraint, transform constraint, those kind of high tier things. Um, and then quad draw. We'll get into quad draw a little bit too. That's pretty useful for retopologizing your model. And that's also retopologizing is an attempt to get less quads on the same model with the same look. But yeah, that's usually always there. It's kind of a mainstay now in Maya. All right, and then our attribute editor. It's a little more complicated than the channel box. We'll be working a lot in here once we get into adding certain materials to our models. For now, in the beginning, it's just useful for determining where your model is at in 3D space here. And attributes, the same thing in the channel box. These are the same ones, same things. And determining, of course, what kind of material is on there. We'll get that a little later. All right. Any questions so far? We're about halfway through the interface here.
Yeah, you lost me at the beginning.
Beginning of what?
This is a cube.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you had me and lost me.
All right.
So
Well,
there's
if you have questions, you gotta let me know. And we don't really have that much time to rehash a lot of things, man. But yeah, so this is a cube. Yes, this is a cube. This is a polygon. It's got 6 sides, made up of 3 components: the face, the edge, and the vertex. All right.
No, it's more it's just the technical stuff of how you. That's one thing you were thinking about. You were talking about you in the subdivisions. I was like, dang, how did you get into the subdivisions? And then you're in the modeling kit. And I'm like,
Got you. Got you. Okay. No, this is an overview, man. I don't expect everybody to remember this first go round. These are a lot of the things that we're going to keep going through over and over again because we need each one of these menus and options for a lot of the models and a lot of the projects we're going to be attempting this semester. Sorry, Lily, were you saying something?
No, I'm just trying to keep up as much as I can. I'm trying to understand this software.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, okay. How are y'all doing as far as the navigation part? So holding Alt, tumbling, zooming, and panning.
I figure out sorry, I did figure out the zooming in and not and all that.
And the
But
tumbling.
I'm trying to like get to the Moz tool. I found it. I finally found that, but I didn't know exactly what we were trying to get there.
The mouse tool? Oh, yeah, it's just Q. So Q is your mouse tool, the selection tool. You Q at any point, it takes you back to your selection tool. It's cool. Excuse me. Jeez.
I mean, I
Drink some
already
water.
know the basics of modeling, so that is again for me. It's just navigating this program. It's so fucking technical that it feels like I do 30 things just to get to one two.
No, no. Okay, so like this is what the shelves are for up top here. So I have my own custom shelf that I usually mess with, but there's other. We'll be working from this poly modeling shelf, so it simplifies a lot. If you need a cube, you hit the cube button. You got a cube. Simple as that. You need another cube, you hit another cube. It's on top of there, but it's there. So move it up. You have 2 cubes.
Oh,
Yeah. So you need a sphere. Punch that. Got a sphere. And then each one of these we can edit, individually as needed. Cool. And then let's see. Again, so yeah, we're just working with poly modeling in the beginning. So if that's not up, let's go ahead and click that and just ignore everything else. That's hyper complexity right there. I don't even know what all of these do exactly. But so you got all your shapes in the beginning here, right? So it's good to start off with a primary shape, and then you can start extruding, bridging, all that fun stuff later on. Um, and then we have our what's this? The polyhedron shape. Pretty cool. Don't use it a lot. If you need to, you probably would need to come to our channel box off to the right and address the subdivisions and radius, that sort of thing. Same thing with the torus, the donut shape. Probably is going to need some adjustments in order to get in there in your scene the right way. So to make a chain link, I want to twist it a little bit, maybe less subdivisions, more height, etc., etc. But all that's in the channel box here. All right, coming down our poly modeling shelf. So we have combine. So it combines 2 meshes. Pretty useful. So if you're building a complex shape, so say got a cube, square. Better yet, let's make this a little more figurative. Cone. Rotate around. This face. Constrain scale. So we got something of giant ice cream. We got to do a little better than that. Duplicate
is
it.
it
Rise it up. All right.
possible that we can stretch them?
Yeah, of course, you can stretch anything.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what scaling is for. Scaling's for stretching. All right, but okay, yeah. So just going down the line here. So if I have an ice cream cone, technically I wouldn't do this since we need different materials in each one, but just for demonstration, maybe doing something more 2D and aesthetic. So you want all these one material, and we don't want to keep applying a material to one object and second object, third object every time we make a change, that sort of thing. You can hit this button, and combine everything into one shape. So that'll be our complex shape right here. All right. Next we have separate, which cuts things away from shapes. May need to do that sometimes. Let's see if I remember this correctly. I can select the face, hit that button up top there. Yeah, and it's fully separated. All right. And then we have mirror. It's very important because a lot of times we're going to be building things that we can't. We're building things outside of the symmetry in the modeling kit. Symmetry is kind of finicky over here, but if you do build one good side, you can mirror that side over. Say say we turn this into something like a tire. Take an edge, take an edge. This here, something like that. There we go. Take this side here. Hold on. Let me make this even more simpler. Okay, so say I took a torus, punched it around a little bit, got a tire. Alright, so if I need the other half of my tire, take this guy. Oh, wrong button. Let's see. Working on the positive. It might be working on the positive. I hit -1 to scale just to flip it around. Freeze transformations, delete history. Stuff we'll get into later on. Okay. Alright, so I got my option box for option box for mirroring here. So it's on my X, right? So I want it on my X axis. Come here, hit the X. Alright, so it's the part I built is pointing off to the positive, so I want it the new part to point off to the negative, so it's negative right here. And then these other options we're going to have to play around with a little bit, like axis position, object, cut geometry off, etc., etc. You just have to play around with it. It's I can tell you all day what they do, but if you don't see it and have like a visual cue for a lot of these things, it's just not going to stick. Um, but here, I got my full tire here, and then the top is a little different from the bottom. So what I can do is go ahead and complete that. Delete history on it, and then what I can do is delete this bottom part. Oh dear, we're running out of time. We're gonna have to speed this up. Delete the bottom part. Okay, go back to my mirroring. All right, and instead of on the Z, I know the part I have modeled here is pointing up on the Y. So I choose Y. It's already on the negative, and it completes it. So I got my full tire after modeling just a quarter of it. And do fancy stuff like smooth it out with the 3 key. That's much later. Okay, so mirroring there, we got subdivisions. Um, what is this one? Oh, reduce polygon. Okay, that won't be used too much. Extruding will be used a lot. Extruding is very important. So got our basic cube here. Bump up the subdivisions, and if I want to start building the cube out, so I can grab a group of polys right here, hit my extrude, and I can pull it on out and start building um, shapes with extruding. All right, then we got our bevel, which is a little bit. We can bevel our edges. It's just kind of like evening them out here. Add segments, make it a little cooler, a little smoother. And then let's see, in our multi-cut tool. So this is how we're gonna make new edge loops. So I'm gonna cut into geometry, and that's it. Could mess around a little bit with inserting edges like this, but that's kind of retopology. We'll get over that later. But the 3 most important functions up here would be multi-cut, your bevel, and your extrude. And to keep those in mind, we're going to be playing around with those a lot. All right. Let's get about 5 more minutes here. Any questions so far?
None.
No, and I think I understand what this software is now. It's a
Okay.
lot going on.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool.
it's a lot. Yeah, it's definitely a lot. We'll take it bit by bit. So, all right. So for our first assignment, let's do this. All right. We know how to make a cube, right? We know how to move it around, right? All right. So for our assignment on this will be next week. Our next class will go over more of the interface and some of the timeline down here. But for next class, let's go ahead and let's use cubes here to build a 8-bit character, right? So what I mean by 8, well, it'll be a 3D 8-bit character. But what I mean by 8-bit character is I'm talking about like Mario, Dig Dug. It's definitely 8-bit. Mega Man. Yeah, so what we can do here is that we can place our cubes, stack them on top of one another to build an 8-bit character right here. So it'll be kind of flat. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have too much depth to it. But if we can get the silhouette of one of these characters, preferably Mega Man or Mario, that'd be cool. That'd be great. And then I'll go over how to save everything, the rest of the program, and then we'll be in a good position to turn in our first assignment beginning of next week. All right, any questions so far?
I know. So we're just built. So we should be building a basically a pixel character for next class.
Yes. Yeah. Pixel character is good.
Is it of our choice?
Yeah, yeah. It's just somebody who's been published, of course.
All right, time to go to hard mode.
Is
Yeah.
there a way to do colors in here if you're letting us do this 8-bit character?
We'll worry about colors later. Colors is a little more advanced. If you want to know, I can go over it real quick, but it's going to take away a little bit from. Well,
I can wait.
you can wait. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So cool. So yeah, we can make cubes. We know how to move cubes around. All right, and then just keep in mind, Control D is to duplicate. And you can select any number of cubes, hit D, and then you can move them off to the side, like so. All right. Okay. Cool. Cool. It's good to hear from you
Uh,
guys. Just what's up?
One question. All right, so how do we carry reference images into Maya?
Let's do Alt Tab, man. That's also a thing. Along with colors, you have to create a material. What? I guess you don't have to create a material. It's just that in the beginning, let's keep it simple as possible. So you need to hit Alt Tab to reference your character as new.
Yeah. I'm just gonna make a mushroom or something.
Uh, mushroom will work. I'll take mushroom. 8-bit mushroom.
Anyway,
All right. All right. Cool. Cool. All right, guys. I'll see you Thursday. It may be at 6 instead of 5. Looks like there are a couple of students that are not available until then, but I'll let you know ahead of time.
All right.
All right.
okay.
All right. Cool. Cool. All right. Take care.
All right. Okay.
Bye.